I am Dorothy Maijor, wife to Richard Cromwell, once Lord Protector of England, though in whispers some call him King. These are my words, etched upon the passing of time, a voice from the fleeting year of 1658 to 1659, when our world was turned asunder. I was no queen crowned in splendor, nor did I desire the trappings of royalty, yet I found myself ensnared in a tale of power, inheritance, and ruin, a tale not of triumph but of fleeting authority. In 1658, England was a kingdom without a king, governed instead by my father-in-law, the formidable Oliver Cromwell. His reign as Lord Protector brought war, reform, and harsh stability to a realm weary of monarchs. My husband, Richard, a man gentler and untrained for the ruthless games of governance, lived quietly at his estate in Hursley. It was there, amidst rolling fields and the warmth of a hearth I called my own, that I lived as a devoted wife and mother, far removed from the horrors of war and political strife. Then, death came swiftly and stole Oliver from the world in September of 1658. Richard, unprepared and unguarded, was summoned to fill his father's place as Lord Protector. A crown of thorns it was, not golden and jeweled, but heavy and splintering, fashioned by factions and the remnants of rebellion. I stood at his side, though I could see in his eyes the shadow of doubt. I did not marry Richard for power, nor did I crave it. My soul longed for peace, for the beauty of quiet days tending to my family, for evenings by candlelight, reading the scriptures, or speaking softly with Richard of God's will. But my husband was called upon to rule a fractured land, and I, as his wife, was thrust into the reluctant role of a consort in the protectorate, a queen in all but name. England was a storm, and my husband its beleaguered mast. The army that once upheld his father's reign turned cold and restless. Parliament, that endless assembly of men, bickered and contested his legitimacy. They called him Tumbledown Dick, mocking his inexperience and his softness, traits I loved in him, but which proved fatal for a ruler in such treacherous times. How often did I pray that the burden of this office would be lifted from his shoulders! Richard was not his father. His heart was kind and unaccustomed to tyranny. Yet the people did not love him for it. They clamored for strength, for certainty, for a leader who could bend the nation to his will. Their desires were a drumbeat that grew louder with each passing day. In our private chambers I saw his torment. "What have I inherited, Dorothy?" he would whisper to me. "A throne of shadows." I offered him what comfort I could, holding his hand, speaking of God's plan and the burdens we must carry in his name. But my words were as fragile as a leaf caught in the wind. The world outside was collapsing. In May of 1659, Richard was forced to dissolve Parliament. The army, once the backbone of our rule, now turned against us. Our dream of peace, his father's commonwealth, lay in ruin. Richard, broken and weary, did what his father never would. He relinquished power. He stepped down as Lord Protector, returning to the simple life he had once cherished. And so I followed him back to Hursley, where the world moved slower, and the air was free of ambition. I am not bitter for the life we lost, though it haunts me still in quiet moments. I remember the look in Richard's eyes when we returned home, a mixture of relief and shame. The people of England soon welcomed back their monarchy, and Richard became a forgotten chapter in the history of this great land. But I knew him, not as the failed ruler they painted, but as the man he truly was, faithful, kind, and undesiring of power.